Hello, welcome back to BSLIVE. In this episode, I wanna take a look at this Sloyd AI. So it's basically like a web app kind of tools that's allowing you to load some assets, 3D assets, and then you can actually do like some customizations. Okay, so it's a really nice premise, and I'm probably gonna have to try and explore what assets they have, and then whether uh, I can or want to use it for my own projects, because it's kind of limited. It's a little bit like Lego at the moment, because there isn't much of objects at the moment. So there's a bunch of stuff like the gym stuff, maybe some furnitures, a little bit like IKEA's, mushroom, and just few objects like weapons. The furniture one is pretty cool. I quite like it. So bunch of stuff, and whenever you click on it, it's gonna appear here. You can select the objects, and then you can move and rotate. I think the idea is really to work on a single object, and then you export it out, and with the objects being selected, you can then customize it. Let me try focus select. Okay, if I'm in the select mode, I can edit the style. It's a little bit like what you see inside maybe like Reality Composer app, if it's from Apple. So Reality Composer actually have some cool library of objects, not a lot, but still kind of nice library to have. And once you're happy, you can export selected objects. And at the moment with this app, you're gonna have this obj. It doesn't have any texture, but yeah, it's still pretty basic, but it works on the website, and you can run this on the iPad or iPhone, and then you can bring it inside Blender. You can bring it into Blender or other, maybe like game engine. Yeah, so you have like library to just of all it is like basic objects. Yeah, you can then take advantage of Blender assets manager. For example, let me try just give this cameo texture. This is from Sanctus library. So once you have the objects, so by default it's actually flat, it doesn't have any material, but then you can assign your own materials, and then start to make your own 3D composition, add a bit of light. What Sloyd doesn't give you is probably, it doesn't give you character. You have a lot of interesting objects that maybe you think you don't want to recreate this from scratch, for example, right? Like things like this kind of chair, or like this lamp. You don't want to continue remaking it. You just want to have it with a certain design, and then you want to export it out and bring it into Blender. So we are at this point. Yeah, of course, this is Sloyd AI, and I keep thinking about things like Blender Kit or other add-on that give you like 3D assets that you can purchase. Okay, I do a lot of 3D scanning, and I just upload it into Sketchfab. So inside Sketchfab, you can see a lot of 3D assets. Some 3D assets is stylized, some realistic, some is actually like handmade by an artist. The one I've been taking a lot of 3D scan using Scaniverse or Polycam on my iPhone, and some of them is really like just like a memory, but like for example this coconut or the bike or this stone that I took, or this is from my birthday, and then what other things, but things like this, for example, I'm selling all my scan as you know, like $4. Maybe it's too expensive, but if you really need it, $4 is pretty cheap. So, but this is I think 3D scan is really good for reference. Of course, you can definitely take a look at this and then make your own inside Blender, right? Maybe procedurally or just handmade manually. And as the books probably gonna be procedural, but yeah, it's really interesting if you think about it. Like maybe everything will be shared 3D assets eventually, whether it's gonna be inside game engine itself or like I don't know, running on your PlayStations. Like all the 3D assets goes in there for us to use as an artist or as a gamers. But yeah, at this point we actually have tools like, for example, like DALL-E or Mid Journey. I tried some of them, so you're able to kind of like give like a text prompt and then you're gonna have like a concept art. For example, if you want to have a room with a certain description, you can actually do that, and then you use that concept ideas from this AI artist, and then you kind of implement it. For example, this room, okay, this room, I don't know, maybe someone already created. It's not DALL-E, but DALL-E is more like, it's good for concept art, like making a character maybe, or a character. Okay, this is like a planet scenes. You can kind of get the idea. Okay, you need an assets of like this astronauts walking on Mars. Yeah, this is the typical concept art. Okay, this one is a famous one recently for Cosmopolitan magazine, so it was created using DALL-E. But this type of thing is more interesting. Astronaut on a horse walking on Mars. We definitely have 3D assets out there that can generate Mars, or you just create it yourself using Blender. But anyhow, okay, back to where am I? Okay, DALL-E doesn't provide 3D characters. I like making my own characters, even though they are not like super great, not super detailed, but I think it has something, you know, it has kind of like a hand-drawn quality. Maybe it's my own style, I don't know. It's a little bit, some of them a little bit random, but yeah, my Sketch5 collection is a little bit random. But the rest of Sketch5, if you ever wanna anything, you can always search for 3D models you want. Yeah, if it's for museum, I mean, some of them is, you know, like an actual objects from hundreds or thousands of years ago from museums. Some of them is like super stylized. So I think everything will come together, and you will eventually use it anyway in whatever you want. Like your own projects, or making your own kind of imaginary room that you like to be in. But anyway, back to Sloyd. Okay, if I refresh this, I think I will lose everything. You need to sign up for Sloyd, and then you need to go to Discord. Anyway, you have to fill up a questionnaire. But this is the app link, app.sloyd.ai. You need a login to be able to do this. So at first you have nothing, and then you pick your objects. Let's see what's the one that's interesting. Okay, the shoe rack. We have a shoes. I don't know if we have an actual shoes here. If you go to Procreate, there's actually a 3D asset for shoes. Floor shell. There's a lot of IKEA type of objects. IKEA will definitely have their own library, and all other companies like Nike will have their own 3D shoes. So it's all gonna be maybe available to you in some ways or another. If it's a computer company, you should have computer. But I'm thinking maybe if I have like a library of cookies, for example, you want to focus on cookies or biscuits or something, you know, like foods products. Foods products gonna be big. If you have like your own restaurant, you might need to have your own 3D objects. Yeah, I tried Sloyd with iPad, but whenever I export it, it's becoming like a text file format. It's really weird. But anyway, if you're working on a Mac or PC, if you export it, you're gonna have an obj. So it's not it's not new, but it's interesting that you're able to do this. I'm just gonna keep bringing object. So file, if you do this a lot, file import obj, you can right click, just add it into quick favorites. So you can just tap Q and then just select the import obj. Okay, so we can export this shoe stand. What I really like, of course with 3D you can make anything, but you're not limited with anything. So for example, you can make a cup that's really big, and then you put all the objects inside the cup, for example, and yeah, this type of imaginary objects. We don't have characters, but you know, we can put these scenes inside this box, and then it's gonna feel different. Yeah, this table, for example, is it the right size? Maybe it's too big, too small. Okay, maybe this is probably like a large size beer glass. It doesn't have the beer. We might need to have glass material, things like that. Ice, assign materials. We are currently using cycles. Yeah, all the basic stuff. Even the lighting is not, at the moment, it's not the most beautiful lighting, but it's okay. Fabric, material, water, tunes. Okay, foods. Maybe I'm just gonna give this material. This one's gonna be some kind of foods again. Oops. The floor, sci-fi panel. Okay, it's really weird. Very nice. So yeah. So, what's the point of this video? It's I'm just testing out. I mean, we definitely gonna deal with a lot of 3D assets, right? Whether you scan it or you just gonna model it using geometry nodes. I thought about this a lot. I maybe what I need to focus if I want to continue with the geometry nodes experiment. I want to make like foods products, you know, like cookies, biscuits, things like that. This Sloyd is cool. My first impressions, the library definitely needs to grow, and because this is running on the website and it's a little bit like reality composer, then you should be able to quickly drag and drop, and then yeah, that's definitely the idea, right? The thing they want to try and promote, and each of the objects that's being generated is probably gonna have like some kind of ways, you know, maybe points or some kind of value, right? This is okay. I'm making a rocket. I really, for example, I like certain shapes of the rocket. I don't know, we have ability to randomize the design. Some of them is like totally random, so it's gonna look like some kind of art. It's no longer looking like a rocket, but it's interesting. So 3D assets, this is when you export it out, it doesn't have any material, so you need to deal with materials. I'm using Sanctus library materials. These materials keep growing. I really like this artist, Sanctus. He gives and contribute a lot, and each material currently I'm using Blender, so the material is really something that you can customize yourself as yeah, if you want to, and then you can paint. Perhaps you want to paint this chair, and then you need to think about that as well. So that's yeah, that's the three. That's actually all the tools that you have today, and it's actually free, right? So that's people always ask me, really, it's all like, okay, the Blender is free as a tool to make the 3D, and then to set up the 3D, the camera, lights, and then to render it out. The rendering, there are a lot of rendering engine outside, like RenderMan, things like that, but Blender also comes with cycles, and you can, you know, you can actually set it up to make it looks realistic. And then if you switch to render engine, of course, that's what exciting for a lot of 3D artists today, is just go to, you know, have Unreal or Unity and put your stuff there. Yeah, there's almost like no limit in what you can do today. Just a matter of whether you have imagination, you put a little bit of time and effort. I mean, a lot of efforts needed in order to make what you want to make. Sloyd, Sketchfab, I think it's good for kind of creating a concept. If you can use their assets and then just make like a story if you have like a characters, and then just make animations and then put the soundtracks, etc. Yeah, but maybe the style itself is not, the style is not perfect, and you want to tweak it. Wait a minute, RX, why rotation is not right. Let's see, maybe I shouldn't tilt everything. Shurex, I don't know. But it's definitely something that's it creates a really good conversation. It's really what you really want to create. Maybe you want to create something from your past memories. Tunes, okay, tunes. I haven't used others, and iridescence assign. So Susan had, and this one, yeah, pretty cool, I guess. But yeah, for now, there's actually some other, not just Sloyd, there's another one similar to this that you can set it up. It's probably Blender add-on. I forgot the name, but you can add parameters. I mean, not geometry nodes, but yeah, so you're gonna have 3D assets, and then you have all, maybe you're gonna have access, imagine you have access to all the 3D assets, and you can actually create AI to generate concepts, or just draw it yourself from imaginations, or you ask another artist. So you become like a director. So yeah, you, even without you knowing it, you have all the tools today. So it's a matter of whether you have something to create, right? So yeah, I just want to make a video about it. So let me know what you think, if you have anything to add. I think it's a matter, like I always ask question like why and how and who owns all the 3D assets anyway today. Is it like Disney, or is it like Disney maybe in another country, you know, like they have I believe one company or one have all the 3D assets, right? Whether, I mean, maybe the style is maybe a little bit vary, like there's a lot of different style that you can create. Particularly, I mean a style of chair is maybe different. This is like a generic chair, it's very IKEA like. But if it's from particular country, then you have to think about the design. And if it's from particular artist, then it's gonna look different and unique. But in general, we might have like all the everything that you see outside can be like 3D today, you know, and you probably have access to it whether you know it or not. So yeah, it's just a matter of whether you have imagination or story to tell. It's just, yeah, you have the freedom today to do this. Maybe tomorrow you don't have such freedom, but since you have Blender and you can make like AR, VR, yeah, you tell me what you have, you know, what kind of idea you have or projects, and whether that's actually can be something that, you know, like a Hollywood's level of story that you can tell, you know. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much what I want to talk about. Sloyd AI, interesting. If we have all the libraries, I mean, Sloyd is like Sketchfab, but Sketchfab doesn't have the ability to adjust the parameters. Most objects maybe don't need that kind of customizations, but for generic objects, maybe eventually it's becoming necessary to be able to procedurally generate it. But I really believe one company actually have all the 3D assets. Maybe Sketchfab even owned by that company, and then they can use everything you see in the world today in different culture maybe already scanned, right, from the world or human made. So anyway, so that's my talk today about 3D assets and Sloyd. Hopefully you find it useful. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.